I'm debating whether I want to do this.
Do it.
Okay. Who?
Do it. Do it.
Shoot, this is probably gonna. This might be it.
We're live.
Yeah.
Who is outside of the obvious?
Mm-hmm.
Where does the line drawn in blackness
Oh, interesting.
on the Olympic floor?
Oh, what do you mean? Who's the line drawn?
Where's the line drawn?
Oh, you mean like who's not black?
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you a perfect example. This is a good question. Black is whoever has enough shade and look and is winning. So
Okay, this is massively helpful.
No, but legitimately, legitimately, I think that. So perfect example. I'm watching the women's soccer, and I'm like, it's a lot of tan girls out here, and I was like, oh, like Dansby's wife, Mrs. Swanson, aka Pugh.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I forgot, and I'm like, oh, it's Rodman's daughter. I was like, oh, this. Now I'm all of a sudden very interested in women's soccer. I was not interested last year. I just saw and I was thinking this the other day. People were talking about like
when Morgan was the lead, you were like, white girls.
So when
are
it
out
was
here.
like Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan,
I wasn't against it at all. It's the same reason why in the 90s.
Not enough melatonin going around.
It's melanin. Melatonin make you go to sleep.
That word.
Yeah, but it's the same reason why I didn't care about golf in the 90s until Tiger Woods. If I don't see nobody, I'm like, oh, this is for somebody else. I don't know this world. And now I'm like, oh, okay, we got a couple sisters out here.
Okay, now
you know what I'm saying?
Now you know why Caitlin Clark is so important to the WNBA.
No, I've been said this, but y'all have had a Caitlin Clark. You've had white girls be good. That's
not the same way.
No, this is very true. I've never not noticed that was part of Caitlin Clark's appeal. It's like white dads can bring their daughters and be like, look,
we can do
this too. You know, I get it. I 100% get it because I know that there's like I watched the Olympics gymnastics with this past week I was in Chattanooga with my cousin and her daughter who's a gymnast who's like all she does is flip.
Yep.
And when Simone Biles was on, it was just like this like lock.
100%.
We're just like, oh my God. And she's like, I love Simone Biles. Like I love it. And I'm like, I love that for you. You know what I mean? Like that's super dope. So even to me as a grown man who don't play no more sports, when I see soccer and it's like black women running around playing soccer, you go, dang, I didn't even know we was out here playing soccer like that. You know,
sure.
I was locked in the track and field. You know what I mean? That's where we be at. Or basketball. Or I think that's it for the Summer Olympics. We're not really swimming yet.
Track.
That's it. Track and field.
Oh.
Basketball.
Yeah, diving.
We ain't really.
She didn't qualify for the finals, but the 50 meter.
Simone.
Manuel.
Simone Manuel. Yeah,
she won the gold 4 years ago.
Right. So anyway, there are certain things you go, oh, okay. Again, it's not a hate to anybody who's not black. It's just like, I didn't even know I didn't know I need to show up and support. You know what I mean? Like I didn't. Like
again, I don't want to really ask this question
do
because
it.
I really don't care.
But
I do think if the debate is out there, I want to at least hear your perspective.
Sure.
If say Rebecca comes from like an indigenous line of people that's mixed probably with some sort of colonization.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a ship involved as we joked about.
At this point, it's got always a little bit of ship.
Well, not always.
Where are there no ship involvement in this world?
If you come from an indigenous line of people,
okay,
then there was no ship.
Well, let's start by saying we all came from Africa.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you say
Middle East, Africa.
So I'm trying to say your question is how
as you define black by we all got on a boat.
Yeah.
I can understand at least what I'm reading between the lines on is that if you came from a colonized or like slave trade,
sure,
you are a person of color.
Yes.
And black. Free. But my question is let's say Rebecca doesn't, as an example, and I don't know this, but we're using it as an example.
But she 100% is one of my cousins from the boat.
Sure.
100%.
And I have not done her lineage.
I don't have to. I'm gonna tell you what the old heads. You're like, look at the kitchen. You can tell. You look at the hair. You're like, yeah. You one of the cousins. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's just a fact.
Fair.
That's just a fact.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Won't argue it.
Okay.
I guess my question is if she were to be like, yo, I have done my ancestry.com.
Mm-hmm.
I've been here in Brazil since before ships got here.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, I'm not black.
I'm Brazilian.
Okay.
I have darker color than
Yeah.
what you would qualify as a white person,
Yeah.
would you still claim her, or would you be like, okay, you good?
Let me tell you something about black people. We don't claim nobody that don't want to be claimed. If you out here like if we don't claim nobody that don't want to be claimed. That's why the OJ thing was so weird, because he was like, I'm not black, I'm OJ. He was like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you being crazy, right? Too many hits in the head, you know. But even we had to reclaim him, if you remember.
So if she did, she was like, yo, I'm Brazilian, not like, but legitimately indigenous people.
Indigenous, we don't claim nobody that don't want to be claimed.
But if she was like, but you can call me whatever you want to, is she black then?
If she don't want to be black, she not black.
What if she doesn't just care, but she's from an indigenous?
We'll care less. That's what I'm saying. My thing is, blackness is, first of all, this is actually, I feel like a pretty interesting discussion, right? But I
think this is in the news right now.
Yeah.
As like it feels, it does. As someone who genuinely wants to be equitable,
sure.
It does at times feel like a moving target, of like it is something that when it's convenient.
Yeah.
Or inconvenient, it is core to the topic of conversation.
Sure.
And both are valid potentially.
Sure.
But I guess my question is like, again, is blackness defined by like being
ancestry,
like slavery is in my line, and like blackness is within that, or is it like an origin to African American? But does that include South African? And is that like, can a white person be black in this definition if you come from South Africa? Like, again, I'm genuinely curious.
I want to start by saying I do not have all the answers. I'm not.
And you don't speak. But from your perspective, from David Perdue's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I will stand by the claim that we don't claim nobody that don't want to be claimed. We let you, hey, if you want to wander out there and be somebody like, no, I'm just me, I'm not black, hey, go for it. By all means.
Nuancing it, Tiger said, like, yo, I am Asian, I am African American.
Yeah, and listen, you can be both things.
Of course.
We can't look at you and you look like us and you go, I'm not us. Like, well, your hair don't say, bro, we know, like, come on, man, we seen your daddy. Like, we know, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? We know what's up, right? So I do think it is somewhat of a moving target, but I don't think that we're beyond being able to like figure that out. I think acting like it has to be this or this is kind of like.
Oh, and I don't think it needs to be necessarily definitively defined.
Right.
I think
anybody out there saying, anybody out there saying Kamala Harris isn't black, wild.
Is wild.
Wild.
Just for the record. Wild.
Like, yo, she's an AKA that went to Howard.
But that was after.
That is not the root of this conversation.
But that was after she turned black.
Yeah, she turned black.
She turned black.
Yeah, she did.
That's why she's black.
You're right.
Okay, we all know that.
But to play devil's advocate in the conversation, because I don't want to just placate. It is something that I think the point that if I were to try to like make the better version of the point, that wasn't made previously, and it was used as an attack previously. I think the more interesting conversation that I think white people in America might want to have in a genuine, like, good conversation would be, it is confusing when it's not ever part of the conversation or it is minimized in a previous conversation, and then later it is utilized to rally a group of people looking from the outside in. It could be thought to be manipulation, to be like, I'm one of you now, like, claim me because I want, and politicians have done this, whether you're Irish and before you came over, you're like, you were in New York and you were like, I'm actually I'm Catholic, but I'm Protestant now because I don't want to be, and then when I'm running for election, it's like, now I'm Catholic and now you should pay attention. So this has happened in the history of this country as politicians have chosen to play cards at different times. And I think that's the interesting thing that's being called out.
I think that if we're going to use Kamala as an example, I think that a lot of this is people who have never paid attention to her are now being like, wait a minute.
Sure.
But anybody who knows who has usually people who look like her, have been like, what are you saying?
Probably from California, probably from San Francisco, who have been tracking her career for
or even from you are familiar with Howard University. Totally. You're familiar with an AKA. You're like, what is this nonsense conversation?
I didn't know she was part Indian. I just thought she was a light-skinned black woman.
Right, but I'm saying, like a lot of that is what people project on you. So a lot of that is like her being like, I've just been me, who is this and that, and you're saying no. Like, it's so weird for people to be like, you just now becoming black. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you
that's not what I'm saying.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if you had any idea, and I think a lot of it has to do with just people outside of that culture, outside of the culture, having no idea about certain things in the culture. You know what I mean? So you're like if she's like, oh, I'm AKA, you're like, oh, there's no denying.
Of course.
From how you're like, oh.
Okay.
And then you know what I mean? Like, so I think it's a lot of projection from other people.
That's
being
fair.
Like, why weren't you this? Because I always was. I don't have to be anything for you. I just was who I was.
Sure.
And I've said who I was.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So it's a lot of people.
And I've owned that part of my story. It may not have been framed as like, I am a black politician for a black populace. Yeah. But I'm an AKA. I'm from Howard. These are the things that are important.
She's lived her life as both a black woman in this country and as anyone. Like, she's lived her life as both of those things
without nuance, like without the feeling the nuance between them. Like, this is who I am in totality.
I find it. And it only happens to people who have color, but I just find it hilarious that we're struggling to figure out that people can be multiple things.
Of course.
When for the last, I don't know how many years, I've had to listen to white people tell me how much they're not quite white because of 23andMe. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm actually Indian. I mean, I'm actually Irish and this and that. And I'm sitting here like, hey, what are you doing? Like, how did you have this nuance a year ago when you got the results, and now you're like, you got to be one thing? Well, you can't be multiple things. It's like,
and I know people come here for giggles and laughs, but I think this is an important, really important conversation right now in our society.
Sure.
Where, again, it's funny how like what's like put into our culture, put into our definitions, then gets flipped around. Like, we all know 1% rule. Like, we have been here before of like one drop. Equals,
which is not something black people, it was put on us. Like, again, these things were put on us.
Exactly. And now, but that is the definition that was inserted throughout Reconstruction to like help define, or not help, to placate a bad racist like power structure.
Right. And add to that, it also became a way to protect. So it's like, hey, if you got that drop, you better figure out other people who had that drop so you can have community to survive this nonsense going on around you.
Which is nonsense. But the definition now carries through today where people are like, who is with us? Yeah. Who understands the totality of this thing?
And there's fractions even in it. Like, you have, what is it, ADOS population, American descendants of slaves, are different from people who the gymnasts from Brazil, or different from, like, there are fractions. Again, colonization did a number on us all, and we're all trying to figure it out. But again, my indicators are, if you want to be claimed, you know, and you fix we gonna claim you. If you don't want to be claimed, that's on you. And also, we gonna check what the back of your hair look like. That's just what it is. You're like, what the kitchen looking like? And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, cool.